Alrighty, so the Marathon Server Slam is very close at hand. You're probably already playing it by the time you watch this, and if you're not, I mean, we're a day away, potentially hours away, so we're getting very, very close. First up, there's been a lot of new gameplay released from Marathon from different creators. Two big highlights are the Drewski gameplay, which really shows off the game mechanically in its best light. Shows lots of great gameplay, lots of great PvP encounters. I really enjoyed that, and it's definitely worth a watch. The other great video that was released was Rilo's art focused video, and it focuses on the art of Marathon as well as the graphics. This was brilliant. Last year with the April Alpha, I don't think it's controversial to say the graphics were not great. There was this sense of disconnect between, okay, the graphics in game don't look great, yet all the cinematic teasers, the art style looks fantastic. Rilo covers in his video how exactly they've bridged that gap since the year that they've had to develop the game. Definitely worth a watch. Look, Bungie didn't so much improve the graphics as they tweaked a lot of post-processing elements, added small little details. All of that is really greater than the sum of its parts. I mean, some of the scenes he shows off in that video, it gets me really excited for just exploring the world and feeling really, really immersed in it. So that's 100% worth a watch, and it's shocking the progress Bungie has made in a year with the graphics and the atmosphere and the immersion. For me, playing these games, yes, it's about the gameplay and the balance and the PvP and so forth, but when you're playing it moment to moment, you want to feel like you exist in the world and that you're there. So Rilo really neatly summarizes how Bungie has accomplished that, and we'll see for ourselves in the Server Slam, but it just looks brilliant. So both of those videos are definitely worth a watch, especially if you're not super sold on the game yet. This is Marathon in its best light in these two videos, so definitely worth a watch. What also has come up this week is, so we know we had exclusive PlayStation charms for Marathon. Long story short, if you are playing on PS5, you have PlayStation Plus, which you need to play online. You get these three cool weapon charms, one from Ghost of Yotei, another from Death Stranding 2, and another from Helldivers 2. They look really cool. Bungie also announced charms exclusively for Xbox and then exclusively for Steam. So the Xbox ones, jeepers, like I would have thought, especially this being Marathon, which is the spiritual prequel to Halo. I mean, there's loads of Marathon logos in the early Halo games. I would have thought that they would have managed to get like a Master Chief helmet or an energy sword or something Halo related, but no, it's lit for Xbox. You're literally talking about two generic green charms. I don't even know why they made two, to be honest. They could have made one. Like, they're just, in my opinion, deeply unimpressive. I know that they have to haggle with rights and things like that, but that was just a bit disappointing. Stuff might come down the line. We've seen with Helldivers 2, they got Halo content, and that's also a Sony published game, so never say never, but this was just deeply unimpressive. Bungie, for whatever reason, we've seen it with the Destiny 30th anniversary pack as well, where they were referencing Halo, but not referencing it. Like, they had a Halo CE Magnum that wasn't actually a Magnum. They had an energy sword that wasn't an energy sword. Bungie just, because Sony clearly have a good enough relationship with Microsoft to do stuff like the Helldivers 2 Halo ODST deal, Bungie has just never been able, I don't know, a relationship's frayed there or something, but they haven't been able to get with Microsoft and get Halo content into their games. It's odd. I wonder, is there something like going on there? Yeah, very weird, but never say never, things can come down the line, but it's just disappointing for Xbox exclusive charms we didn't get Halo stuff. I mean, that's just, the green charms are like, come on, really. The Steam stuff was a bit better. We got a Half-Life crowbar. I actually think that looks really cool. It's only one charm, granted, but it's definitely cooler than the two the Xbox folks got. Yeah, very cool. Kind of wish I could get it on PlayStation, but it's cool that all platforms are getting exclusive charms. But yeah, the Xbox side of it was very disappointing, and I'm sure any Halo fans here are equally disappointed. Bungie also released some, like, a dev diary on security in Marathon. So this I mean, this is crucial, isn't it? So if you look at Destiny 2, now granted Destiny 2 is a peer-to-peer game, which is to say there's no dedicated servers, at least for PvP and PvE, I believe. It's peer-to-peer, so you have a certain host who beams all the information back and forth to the various clients. Obviously that can result in a bit of lag. It seemingly makes the game very vulnerable to cheating. I don't believe Destiny 2 has kernel level anti-cheat on PC. I could be wrong on that, but I mean, you know yourself if you've played Destiny 2 PvP on PC in recent years. It comes in waves, but it's largely been a joke. Like, some of the things have let cheaters get away with, so they have a lot to prove with Marathon. They've done a big dev diary on how they're changing things, so stuff like dedicated server support, the server being authoritative over all actions. So for example, if you do something in Marathon that just shouldn't be possible, like, I don't know, spawning an extraction beacon and extracting in a random location, the server will look at that and go, okay, well, we know that there's not supposed to be an extraction beacon there, so we're not going to let that happen. Stuff like that. So, and also they have a fog of war system, which means even if you do manage to have a hacked client and have wall hacks, the fog of war system means that you will, worst case, only see other players in your immediate area. You won't be able to scan the whole map and see who has what loot, who's hiding behind what cover, things like that. So they have a lot of mitigations that aren't in place in Destiny for Marathon PvP. They also have things like, which this is crucial because I've experienced this myself in Destiny before. Bungie's servers are by and large fairly reliable, but I know I've been playing Trials before and playing a Raid or a Strike before, and the Bungie servers, they start pinging with little warnings going like, oh, there's something going wrong, watch out, and then you get kicked. And Destiny has some mitigations for Bungie side server instability, like they will try to reconnect you to your game and things like that, but in Marathon what they're saying is if Bungie side server instability causes you to get kicked from your game and you lose all your loot, they will return that loot to you. Now crucially, this isn't like Arc Raiders where, let's say, a player gets caught cheating and they screw you over. Bungie at least haven't specified whether they'll do the Arc Raiders method of returning loot to you if you get done badly by a cheater, so you get wall hacked or whatever. Bungie will only return loot to you if it's their servers that cause you to get kicked. So it's better than nothing. We might see the cheater side compensation added down the line, maybe. And they also said if you get disconnected from your game, they will try to reconnect you. That's interesting because they have to thread the needle here, because they can't, let's say your internet quote unquote disconnects, i.e. you've pulled your Ethernet cable out because you're mad. They can't be returning your loot to you just because your internet goes down, because otherwise people would just turn their Wi-Fi off or disconnect their Ethernet cable when they're in a bad situation and get their loot back. So I understand they have to thread the needle a bit. So they have some mitigations and not others, but that's another good thing, is that if you get disconnected through no fault of your own, even if your own internet goes down, your player model will stay in the game, and Bungie will afford you the chance to reconnect to that game. Your teammates will just have to protect your player model, and if your player model gets shot while you're disconnected, that is what it is, you're dead. So yeah, the security side, it's all to prove. We still, I don't know, has this been confirmed? We still don't know how matchmaking is going to work. So in Destiny, it's kind of platform or input based matchmaking, kind of. So for example, if I'm on PlayStation, I will get matched with other PlayStation and Xbox players. If I'm on PC, I will only get matched with other PC players. However, if I'm a console player and a PC player joins my fire team, then I will get match made with PC players or other mixed parties. So we have yet to see whether that same system holds true for Marathon. I think it's a really good system. It worked very well for Destiny, and it especially helped us console players kind of escape the big cheating waves that happened on PC. But yeah, we have to wait and see. So hopefully all this security stuff pans out, and yeah, it's all on Bungie to prove. Like, if they fumble with this, console won't be such a big problem, but PC, that's where a lot of your content creators are. Their voices are louder potentially than normal console player voices, so you need to get this right. Let's hope they do. The last bit I want to touch on here is trying to predict player count. So there was a lot of, there was a lot of talk when Marathon was first revealed about it being bombing or being Concord 2 or things like that. Like big faces in the Destiny community like Paul Tassi were convinced that the game was done for. Now that wasn't without good reason, but I knew in my heart of hearts the core game was fun enough that with a bit of iteration and a bit of polish it would do well for itself. I never, the Bungie name alone, you could stick the Bungie name on a cardboard box and it would sell like hotcakes, at least for the first couple of days. The idea that this was going to bomb was just wasn't feasible. So we're now at a place where community sentiment has really turned around. Dare I say it's positive to overwhelmingly positive for Marathon. So in terms of player count, there's a lot of chat because Arc Raiders, another extraction shooter, broke all these records. It's at like, I think it's at 300,000 concurrent players on average or something like that. Like that is crazy, it's huge numbers. So the question is, how will Marathon do? And I've discussed this a lot with my friends. I think it's tricky, right? Because Marathon is much more of a cutthroat PvP experience than Arc Raiders. So there's no scenario in my mind where Marathon has more players than Arc Raiders. Now you could have a scenario like in 2 years, let's say both games are trucking along nicely. Marathon has a new season, Arc Raiders is on a bit of a lull. I could see a scenario where Marathon just briefly peaks over Arc Raiders. But in general, I think as a rule, the idea that Marathon will overtake Arc Raiders I don't think is realistic. That being said, Arc Raiders is a very high ceiling to reach. So we know Marathon has been getting good pre-order numbers. It's like near the top 10 in Steam charts at the minute for pre-orders. It's been doing very well in the PlayStation Store. It's like, I think it's certainly in the top 10 for pre-orders there, and that will probably increase with the Server Slam, provided people like it. So I'm gonna muse with you what I think the short to medium term player numbers, not necessarily of the Server Slam, but of the full game will be. So a good reference point here is Destiny concurrent player numbers. So Destiny's in a bit of a bin at the minute. It's very, very low player numbers, like 6,000 last I checked. I think it might peak around like 15,000. But during the heyday of Destiny, when Bungie was firing on all cylinders, you're talking about 2021 to 2023, it wasn't like Destiny could easily hit 70 to 100,000 players, and during like a new seasonal drop, it would hit 150,000 easy. It was doing really good numbers. People liked to dunk in that game, but boy did we like to play it. So given that, I think that's a good reference point. The big what if factor is if Marathon rides this extraction shooter viral wave. So I think for Marathon, given all we know about it, putting the unreasonable cynicism to one side, and I've played the game quite a lot between certainly the open playtest and some other playtests that probably I shouldn't talk about, but I am confident that the core loop is good enough and addictive enough that I think we'll be looking at roughly good era Destiny numbers. So I think we're certainly in the launch period, I think it could be like 150k plus. That's like right at launch if the game hits. I think longer term you're looking around, I think your floor, provided the game's good and people like it, the floor will be about 50 to 60,000 at least in the first year. I think on average you'll be looking at 70 to 100,000 concurrent players, and that's me being somewhat cynical. It could, the viral extraction shooter trend that we've seen with Arc Raiders, that could cause it to absolutely pop off. The big question with Bungie is, and we've seen this with Destiny recently, they just, for how many years they've been in this live service game, there's times they just buckle, and you see that with Destiny at the minute. Their goal is to run 2 live service games at once, but they just can't. It's just not. Look at the Destiny Shadow and Order delay. That thing was meant to come out on March 3rd. It's been delayed by 3 months for a mid-seasonal update. Like, that says to me that their live service train, their pipeline has really buckled or collapsed in the face of Marathon. And my worry with Marathon is, let's say Marathon is on a bit of a lull and we get, let's be hopeful, let's say we get Destiny 3, right? The pre-production for that, or should I say the the pre-launch development for that, as well as the launch itself, is going to soak up so much resources. Does Marathon suffer a similar content drought or similar content delays in the face of new Destiny releases? Maybe. In which case, you're going to have player numbers dipping because there's not a lot of content to play through. So it really depends on whether or not Bungie can support the live service. If the game gets good players, I'm sure Sony will throw a lot of money their way. But yeah, that's my core prediction. Despite all the hopium on one side and the Concord 2 cynicism on the other side, I think you're looking, I would say 70 to 100k certainly in the medium term, when the sort of lull hits and people are starting to run out of content. I think you're looking at a steady floor of about 70 to 100,000 players. We'll see if that pans out. I just think the core of the game is so good, you know. I think I really find it hard, unless Bungie really stumbles and can't get content out quick enough. I think the core of the game is good enough that that's what we're looking at, because ultimately the core of Destiny, when it had those 100 to 150k concurrent player numbers on Steam, like when Bungie was firing on all cylinders, I look at Marathon, or at least what I've played of it, and look at the core loop and think, like, you know, it has that same addictive juice to it. Like it's fun, it's addictive. There's plenty of stuff to chase. So provided Bungie can execute on the live service, I think we'll have a healthy player base for this game. Anyway, that's all from me. Please enjoy the server slam. I really hope it's like 24 hours away from release for me now as I speak. I really hope it's good. If it bombs or it's awful, we can just pack our bags and go home. But hopefully it's good, because it would be really, like, I'm so excited for Marathon. I'm sure some of you watching are too. The world, the lore, the raid, the Marathon ship, it's so exciting. So let's really hope, man, I really hope this bangs. So if it does, in any case, I'll see you on Tau Ceti IV, and have a great day. See you soon.